And I think that I feel good about the way we put this out there. It was funny. I was walking around this morning. I was listening to the Joes, and they had David Sampson on, who used to run the then Florida Marlins. And at one point, Shasky goes, look, I don't like calling for people's jobs. And Sampson goes, yes, you do. He just stops him. He goes, yes, you do. This is what you do for a living. And it really hit me because I remember saying to you yesterday, like, even starting in this business, I made a promise to myself that I was not going to use these microphones to hammer for people's jobs. At the same time, you can say what you see. It's just kind of, I think, the way that you package it. So I feel good about how I packaged it yesterday, but I would like to say it even more firmly today. What I said yesterday is Hector Borg needs to be reassigned. I've not even met Hector Borg, so I can't even tell you. I don't have an opinion on whether or not he brings something positive to the clubhouse. He's been in the Giants organization for a long time. And so I don't have any specific overall assistant coach problem with Hector Borg. But here's the problem I do have. He can't be the third base coach anymore. And I mean effective immediately. Steiny just used a big word, credibility. And if the San Francisco Giants, if that's what they're looking for, credibility, then you have to start reacting to things a little bit quicker than they're reacting to things. Vitello said publicly today that he just met Hector Borg during spring training. He also said publicly that they will, on the off day today in Colorado, get together and talk about the situation. I would expect the Giants to have someone else coaching third tomorrow night.
Well, it's not as easy as, fans are outraged and he's made mistakes and now you got to pull him because there's a certain amount of, standing by your guy. And like Tony said in his comments, you got to have to get all together and figure out what needs to change and what are the mistakes that are being made and go from there. As much as you can't just throw the manager out after 56 games because he's not been great. And, the mistakes that Tony Vitello's making aren't as obvious and as apparent as the third base coach, but you're not going to run Vitello after this amount of games. And so maybe Hector Borg gets more of a rope than what fans want to give him.
Yeah, I'm not into it. Like, that's a completely different job. It's a completely different position. You can't reassign a manager, but you can reassign and shuffle your assistants all over the place.
Does that ever happen when a third base coach gets removed from the third base box and reassigned in a year? It seems to me that it's very, very rare that a third base coach gets removed especially before June.
It's probably rare. I can't really speak to what happens in all organizations because I don't know. I'm not following, what the Rockies are doing with their first and third base coach. But I would also say that desperate times call for desperate measures. So even if it is rare, I'm not really bothered by that. I'd like to share a quote with you. Okay? This is from Tony Vitello this morning. Quote, I think we need to pick up the information we got from the last 3 days. That's an important piece, by the way. I'm going to circle back to that, but back to the quote. I think we need to pick up the information we got from the last 3 days, and I'll get together as a group since it's an off day and everybody's got some time and tell everybody to gather up some thoughts, and we need to look at any possible way that we can improve, any possible way to eliminate mistakes as well. And that was specifically in response to Hector Borg. So what I see and what I hear is a manager early in his tenure who is looking for some support and some control. And I think that 22-34 is actually here to have Tony's back. This is just what I smell. What I smell right now is a manager that's so green and is so not in a position of power with major high-priced vets that he sort of needed this. He needed this comedy of errors before they'll go, dude, let the dog out of the cage. Just let Tony go and let him go do what he would do. That sounded to me like a quote of someone who would like somebody else coaching third base tomorrow night.
And that's a fair thing to read into it. It's also complicated because Hector Borg is an organizational guy. He was a minor league player with the Giants, and he's been in and around the Giants for a long, long time. And organizationally, if you look at some of the the director of scouting and special advisor to the president of baseball ops, these are also guys who've been here a long time. So if Borg was hired based on the fact that many in the organization liked him, and I read the quotes from the Pavlovich piece in NBC Sports Bay Area from February where Tony's on a Zoom with him and says, yeah, I love this guy.
Right.
And already people in the organization were probably nudging him like, you're going to love this guy. And then he loved him. And here we are 2 months in, and it has not gone well. I went to AI Mark to answer my own question about third base coaches getting fired.
What'd you find?
I found that last year, 3 third base coaches were removed. One, Warren Schaefer was promoted to interim manager.
Okay.
Because Bud Black got fired.
All right, so that's not a demotion, that's a promotion.
Matt Tuiasosopo in Atlanta in June removed and reassigned as the team's minor league infield coordinator.
Okay.
August, Sean Larkin from Arizona was removed and he was reassigned to infield coaching.
Okay.
So those are just 2 immediate examples last year.
It's just last year.
Right.
Okay. So
what happens?
Go ahead and add May 2026, the San Francisco Giants reassigned Hector Borg. And I will, like, if he's out there tomorrow night, I'll be here on Monday afternoon questioning their cojones. I'm so sorry. Like, I do not want to be a jerk. This is absurd. What are we doing? This is absolute insanity. This is so easy. He's not for the job. He's not doing the job. Like, you have to let Tony, please give Tony some teeth. It feels to me like the organization has not done a great job of letting Tony have his teeth and he can't grab it yet because he just showed up from Knoxville and he's staring Raffy Devers in the face like, I don't know, you can't hit a fastball. I don't know what to do about it. But, like, come on. The organization gave him this third base coach. The guy's dying for some wins. He's out there, like, in press conferences after the game, rubbing his temples while he's staring at the box score. And then you're giving him 3-2 losses because an organizational guy who you love is sending people when they're going to be out by 20 feet, and he keeps doing it? Come on, everybody. This is not mean. This is 2 + 2.
Yeah, but you got to figure out a way to do it that works for the organization and for Hector Borg. I don't think you're just going to outright fire him. So
reassign
it comes down to where you're going to reassign him. You got Ron Washington, who is the defensive coach, so I don't think that you're going to have him just, sit there and hold Ron's clipboard.
I don't know, be the bench coach. Ron Wotus, third base.
Just switch roles.
Yeah, Hector, just go sit down for a few games. Like when Tony says, hey, we're going to get the information we got for the last 3 days. That's fascinating because those 3 days are when Hector came back.
Right.
Hector.
That's what he's talking about,
and
right?
This is difficult. I hate this. Hector just lost his grandmother. That's why he missed a few games. He flew out of the country because his grandmother passed away. I'd hate for him to lose his grandmother and his job in the same week. That sucks. Is that a consideration? I don't know, maybe. But Ron Wotus took over for the White Sox series, and guess what? The best thing you can say about a third base coach, nobody noticed.
Right.
Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Isn't 22 and 34 like no more Mr. Nice Guy? Don't you think?
I mean, honestly, as much as he's struggled as a third base coach, he's not the biggest issue on your team.
No, that's fair.
He's a glaring issue right now. And interesting what you said about Tony having his teeth, because I was thinking about what move he's made all year where he was able to flex, like, I'm the manager. And one of them was when Matt Chapman actually had to sit out a singular game. Like, Tony was able to make that happen.
And then there was another one.
Well, Luis Ariz did that a couple days ago. We thought he might be nicked up. He came in and pinch hit later in the game. So little, like, one-game breaks for veterans, that might be the end of the list as far as, like, how he's flexed. I don't know if he's the one who said, hey, we got to trade Patrick Bailey. Well, that felt more like a Buster Posey to me.
I agree with you. But doesn't it feel like time? Like, I'm just saying, I would love to see Tony Vitello with his chest tomorrow before the game say, look, we're reassigning Hector, and Tyler Mahle is being moved to the bullpen. Like, I would love to see that. I think the messaging would be great. It's not to be mean to Hector and Tyler. It's to tell everybody, yo.
What's Buster's line? Time to go? Or time to boogie or whatever?
Whatever he said. Yeah.
And
time to go.
And I think it's interesting the way you lay it out, because if he is going to flex, it's pretty clear he can't do it to Raffy or Willie or Chappie or Robbie or Logie, because those guys, I don't think that that's the best way to keep your credibility. So is it the rookie third base coach or the first-year free agent pitcher who's struggling?
Yeah, but
those are easier ones to flex on.
They are, but they're also struggling even more than those other guys are. You know, like we mentioned the big money guys because they are the big money guys. Raffy Devers has been playing actually pretty well.
Matt Chapman is the one who's been struggling.
Matt Chapman is the one who's been struggling, no doubt. No doubt. And here's what I would say about that. Like, Giants, be prepared that when Elliot Ramos gets better and goes out to left, if nothing happens, let's say that's 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now that Ramos is ready. If Chapman doesn't do anything between now and then, if he's still got a 600 OPS in those 3 weeks, then yeah, Ramos left, Casey third, Chappie dugout.
Yeah.
Like, be ready.
How about Casey shortstop, Adames DH? I mean, as much as he's the worst defensive shortstop in baseball.
My only issue there is I want Bryce Eldridge to be the DH every single night. I've already reached that, by the way. I want to update my whole 5 out of 6 games. 6 out of 6.
You want 6 out of 6?
Absolutely.
You want all 13 on this trip?
What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, yes, he hits left-handers as well as right. I see that, you know, I see a guy whose numbers should be better than they are based on how hard he's hit the ball. That's how I feel right now. I feel like Tony needs some teeth, and I think it's time. I think we've arrived.